Hello and welcome to Recruiting in Hospitality from Caterer.com. I'm Lancelot Narayan. As you know, in each episode we discuss recruitment, development, retention in the UK hospitality industry with top guests. As you also know, the industry is going through a bit of a existential crisis right now as a result of the pandemic and Brexit. There's all sorts of problems rearing their heads. It's proving difficult to find the right candidates with the right skills for the right jobs. Now, there are talent pipelines that you may not have considered in tapping. We've been supporters of Only a Pavement Away since its inception, and I'm very glad to welcome back an old friend of the show. It's Greg Mangham. Hello, Greg.
Hi, Lance.
How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And you?
Good. I'm all good. And also with me today, very pleased to say, the owner of restaurant chain Wing Shack, it's Josh Jarvis.
Hello, Lance.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Not too bad.
Lovely to have you both on the programme once again. Josh, let me start with you. Tell me about how you started Wing Shack.
Basically, how it started. So I just used to love chicken wings, and I just thought it just yeah, and I just thought it'd be a great idea. Well, actually, I thought like there wasn't really a place in London at the time that did anywhere that just like kind of specialized in chicken wings, and I knew obviously like in places like America and stuff like that there was like loads and loads of places like that. So when I went to America, I went to a few different places and tried some wings and different venues, and I just felt like this is just such a sick thing, like, and it's not being done in London. So when I come back, my friend his dad had a coffee chain, and he was getting rid of one of the sites, and I went and met him and had a chat about it, told him my idea that I had, my vision, my dream, and he liked it and thought it had legs, and then and literally just started it from there, really. So yeah, it's just literally just for a love of chicken wings. That's how it started. Yeah.
Tell me about what happened around this time once you got started. What happened to you personally?
So I think it was about a year into starting Wing Shack. I ended up finding myself going to prison for an offence which I committed many years before. I was actually on trial for like 3 months, and I went to prison for 6 months. I was on tag for 5 months. So all in all, it seemed longer than a year, because even when I was on trial, I mean, I wasn't really. It was like a full day, like every day kind of thing, 5 days a week. So yeah, it was yeah.
And you were sentenced for 6, but you got out sooner.
Yeah, I got out sooner on tag. So I spent 5 months on tag. Right. And then I've done six months behind the door.
Tell me about what happens inside. What do you witness? What kind of ideas came to you while you were inside?
Well, one of the thing that stood out straight away is that everyone, that food was just such a big thing in there. And people, when I got to more of like an open kind of prison, I mean, everyone just loved cooking. Like it was such a big thing. Like everyone just proper really loved their food. And when I went to a prison called ISIS, that's where I finished off my sentence, and they was really big on food. Like they actually done like courses where you can like kitchen courses, chef's courses and stuff. And they had a restaurant within the prison where you could actually go in and you could work in the kitchen, you can do front of house. And then it was from there really where I just felt like, obviously on the outside, I have my own business in food, and I just felt like I just wanted to kind of explore the idea of that when I came out. Obviously, having been to prison now, I wanna kind of come out and support people and help people that have been to prison that are less fortunate. Less fortunate than me. Like when they come out, there's not many opportunities for them. So I felt like, I wanted to come out and try and get people that have been to prison into work in hospitality. And then that's when I've done some research and I came across Only the Pavement Away.
Greg, tell me, how did Josh contact you? Tell me about your first conversation.
Oh, that was Josh was going to do a conference, and someone said, "Have you heard about him?" And then we met in some. It sounds bad, this doesn't it, Josh? Some sleazy boozer in Tottenham Court Road, and we were both running late for various reasons. Yeah, we were, weren't we? And then
yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think we got time to share half a Coke or something like that. So but it's like I've always said to you, Lance, that rather than have some old fart in a suit stand up, what better than have someone who epitomises what you can do if you don't let barriers stand in your way? And when people sort of like we Josh is now concept going into is in Selfridges, and people say, well, I couldn't do that. This is stopping me, that's stopping me. You've got someone who's actually a prison leaver and has come out, and it just seemed ideal to have someone who's got that lived experience and understands how easy it is to turn left rather than turning right. And I've said to you before, Lance, people know from my strong Cockney twang, I was very lucky. I had my mum and dad were teachers. But I know that a number of my pals, when many moons ago when I was 18, served Her Majesty's pleasure, because they didn't have that background to go to, or they necessarily weren't pushed in that right direction in the East End of London. So I think if you've got someone who can actually epitomise your values and prove to people that it works. We've got 15 prison leavers with us. But when people say, well, who's advising you on it? Well, actually, we've got someone who's a prison leaver, started their own business, is in one of the top stores in London. Very much the same, and using the terminology, the same with homeless people. Don't call them all rust leavers. Don't think they're all just because you've come from a doorway, you're an addict or you've got substance abuse. Don't think because you leave the military with anxiety, you've got PTSD, or because you lost a limb, then you can't ever do anything again. And that's why sort of, Josh looks after the custodial side, we've got Scotty looks after the veterans, and Delau advises on the homeless. And I think that's so important. Otherwise, you turn out to be a do-gooder.
Yeah, it's true. Josh, people like you, hospitality employers, how can they help people who need it? How do you go about it?
Well, I guess it's just changing your mindset really, and just giving those opportunities. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, I was lucky because when I did come out of prison, obviously I already had Wing Shack there, I had my business there, so I had an opportunity to go back to fall back to. But having obviously been to prison, seeing what it's like, and then coming out and then seeing, the kind of opportunities that are out there, there's not many, and I feel like it's just a shame because there's so many talented people that are in prison and have got like abundance of skills and do have the right mindset now. They've been in prison, they've been sitting there, they don't want to come out and go back to a life of crime. They actually do want to do something with themselves. But I just feel like there's not that many opportunities out there because employers, they don't have the right mindset. They think because he or her has been to prison, they can't do the job, or they're not trustworthy, or so I just feel like the first thing that employers need to do is just change their mindset to start off with. Do you know what I mean?
How do we go about doing that? How do we change mindsets? Because it's so important. I mean, you've explained it, and I've heard, from working with Greg these past few years. I mean, there are so many talented people. There are so many people who don't have the good fortune that other people have, who are talented and they want to do well for themselves and they can benefit the industry. How do we change mindsets, Josh?
It's a good question. I don't know. It's like for me, it's kind of hard for me to answer that because my mindset isn't like that, and I'm just my mindset is how I think that everyone else should be thinking. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me to kind of think that how someone else can change. It's because I just think it just comes from within. Like, do you know what I mean? You need to kind of do your own research and have your and believe in people, and do you know what I mean? It's not. I just feel like it needs to come within and be more open-minded. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, that's
Great.
I think the other thing, Lance, is and he must hate the emails, is the more that only a Pavement Away can roll Josh out. You know, if there's an opportunity, roll him out, let's get him on video, let's get him on film, let's get him at conferences, let's get articles about him, because I think then people do change.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is that we get as many of our employers to do prison visits, because the ones I've taken come out and go, oh my God, it's not, I didn't find one 78-inch plasma. I didn't find one leather Chesterfield settee. When you asked me to sit in the cell and close the door, Greg, I was very frightened. When I was walking along that wing and I hear people banging on the door and shouting out, I'm thinking, what happens if I do something that ends up me going to prison? Have I got that strength of character? And then they see the men and women cooking in the kitchen. There's one women's kitchen which I don't go to anymore because I just come out obese, because they make the best cake going. They have a cake, and I come out about a stone heavier. And you think, God, we're crying out for pastry chefs, and we've got 12 of you sitting there, and they might be people who have retaliated because of an abuse relationship. And I think what by getting employers into prison, what he shows is, and one guy said to me in our prison visit, he said, I came off the wrong housing estate from a dysfunctional family. I wasn't academic. And he actually said to me, they should have put me in prison when I was born, Greg. He said they should have put me in Brixton to the age of 3 and got it out of the system. And he was no fool, And then I think when employers go in there and employers actually recruit people, we've got one guy with Gauchos who's been here over 2 years, fantastic pastry chef. We've got a number of guys with Green King. And you just got to think to yourself as well, I think, to change that mindset, like Josh says, is if you look at it, we've probably all got one somewhere. We've all probably got someone who's suffered homelessness or rough sleeping, especially since the pandemic. We probably all know someone who knows someone who's had someone come out the military. And we probably all know someone who's either been very close to being in prison or committing a crime. And I got my regional directors together a while ago from my last company. We had a drink pre-pandemic, and they asked me what I was doing. So I asked them if they were all honest. And they said, yeah, we're all honest. And then I went through their misdemeanors from when they worked me. I went through the one who added 10 miles to his mileage form every week. And he said, well, I said, no, because you thought that was a perk. But if you'd have done that end of the year and taken that £1,000 out, that was fraud and you'd have gone to prison. And what about you, who actually played golf every Thursday afternoon and you didn't think I knew? You defrauded the company out of half a day's wages. And then when they, oh, right, okay then. And, and I always say to people, like I said, my mum and dad were teachers. I don't remember at the end of any summer holidays having to buy a pencil, a ruler or a rubber, because my dad brought home, as a headmaster, brought all that old stuff home that was going to be binned. Now, yeah, it was going to be binned. Was that a perk, or had he nicked it? He turned in his grave now, if you thought I was saying that. But it was just, that's the perk. And you've got to decide, are we all honest and are we all innocent? Or are we just bloody lucky we haven't got caught?
There for the grace of God.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And I think because of the way we look at it commercially, and I think Josh would agree, there are some people that you wouldn't necessarily employ. There are some people that don't want to be saved. But, it's a bit like when you look at management. Not all management are sort of tossers. Now, just because you've had a bad manager a couple of times in your life, there are some very, very good managers out there. There are some very good team builders out there. There's some very good companies in there. You might just have the misfortune to work for one that isn't. And that's human nature. Yeah. But get the employers into the prisons and get them to meet Josh, and that will change their mindset.
Yeah. Awareness, I think, obviously, do you know what I mean? That's a way that their mindset can change just through awareness. Like charities like Only the Pavement Away, do you know what I mean? Like saying conferences and putting stuff out there for people to see.
Yeah.
Josh, I mean, you're probably feeling it just like everybody else is right now, this skill shortage. Why is it important that employers act now?
Because they won't have no staff if they don't.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Simple as that. Like, I'll be honest, I was even just saying to Greg, like, before, like, at the minute, I mean, it's crazy times at the moment. Like, recruitment is just it's so hard, and especially if you've got plans to like expand and you're growing and stuff like that. At the minute, I'm just kind of thinking, like, how are we even going to do this without any like recruitment, because there's hardly anyone out there. So this is the perfect opportunity now to kind of, you know, go into that field and start, you know, using, I'd say, like the untapped talent that, you know, people that have been homeless or been to prison or, you know, military. And so yeah, I feel this is, if there's going to be a time, I think now is the perfect time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very, very important message. It really is. Greg, tell me more about upcoming funding initiatives. You've got the cookbook out now. You've got other things happening. Tell us what's going on with Only Pavement Away.
Well, the cookbook's all printed and it's being sent out for those who want to buy it. The caveat is my menu, my go it isn't in there, so they don't have to pay any money to watch my disaster. But there's some very good recipes in there, so we're getting that sent out. We've got Cook and Dine coming up, which I think you're coming to, and Josh is a guest at. Where we've got Tom Aikens cooking for 260 people in September. We start Fill a Flask on Wednesday, and we're up to, I think we've got up to 900 flasks that are being shipped out. I just had a message before I came on here that are leaving to go to the filling stations tonight, and they will go out on Wednesday.
Tell me the cities.
We're doing Manchester, Brighton, Edinburgh, Norwich, and London. That's our 5. And so it would incorporate, I think, about 80 volunteers from various companies across hospitality. We've got Winter Warmth coming up again in November. We've got crowdfundings that we're going to go and crowdfund as well.
Brilliant.
We've got SOS coming up in November, Serve Our Soup.
Yeah.
Which we're going to do all around London. We've got some employers backing us up on that. We've got Sponsor a Kitchen, where we're going to go in and get employers to refit the kitchen and go through what Josh went through. And we're teaming up with the Right Cause, which is Fred Syriax's charity.
Yeah.
So to try and get that. So Fred's got the syllabus. He's got the idea. We'll go and get the money, and we'll give people jobs afterwards. We've got Life Skills Hub starting next week, where we're going to put 60 people from the hostels through a 3-week program. And at the end of it, thanks to the Freemasons who funded it, they're going to go away with kitchen. They're going to have a cooker, fridge, freezer, microwave, cooking utensils, ingredients for a month. So when they go into independent living, they've got no reason not to cook. We're going to do ones for the veterans. It's an outward bound course. They wanted me to go and do the residential on the first week, but I thought, you know, stuff that only lasted 2 weeks in the Cubs. There's no one going to go with another ex-Marine for the residential, is there? You know. I thought, no way, Blaze. I'll do the admin and I'll I'll get the credit, but you lot can do all the.
It's for the best. It's for the best.
But the big thing, obviously, you know, our day job and our core work is getting people into work, and we're up to 115 now.
Brilliant.
And that's in the 18. You know, if you take out the pandemic, and that 115 has returned 3.3 million to the economy. But that is and that's very much because when people look at us, we do what it says on the tin. They go on the bios and they see Josh and they see Scotty, and they say this isn't a bunch of do-gooders trying to do it so they can feel good when they go home and eat their fillet steak. This is real. You know, and 85 pence of every financial pound goes to support our members. The only 2 people who get paid in Only a Pavement Away are our relationship managers. No one else gets a penny.
Fantastic. That's an important message as well, letting people know how the money's spent, because a lot of charities don't do that. I'm so glad that you stand up and say this is where the money goes. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Josh, where can we find the Wing Shack, mate?
So you can find us in Loughton in Essex, Selfridges on the 4th.
Not going.
Why?
Oh, Essex and me, we don't, you know. Something happened a long time ago. Anyway, let's crack on.
Selfridges on the 4th floor. You can find us in Camden. Get delivery from Camden, Battersea, Canary Wharf, and Clerkenwell. Sorry, and Clerkenwell.
Clerkenwell as well. Have you got any other plans for a new opening elsewhere?
Yep. So we've got Brixton coming up, which will be an eating site. Brixton and Bromley as well. So
lovely. Yeah, definitely do Brixton.
And I'll let you know when.
Yeah,
he doesn't do Essex, Josh. He wouldn't last in our part of the country.
No,
probably not. He can't speak the language. That's why. He hasn't got the Cockney twang like me and you.
That's right. Listen, both of you, it's been an absolute joy to speak to you. It obviously fabulous. Such important work going on, and obviously at caterer.com we're very, very happy to have been supporting Only a Pavement Away since you started, basically, and long may it continue. So Josh, Greg, thank you very much. Join us again next time on Recruiting and Hospitality from caterer.com. I'm Lancelot Narayan, and I'll speak to you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.